Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Team Crowley coming with another video. Today's some more VGC 17 battles on the battle spot. Still rocking this Lele Driftwind team that I've been using. It's been an interesting one. I was just thinking before, as I was getting set up to record this, I was thinking about how I don't think I've ever used a Tailwind team before this one. So it's been a little bit of a struggle for me since Tailwind teams are a little bit more offensive than Trick Room teams. The Pokemon aren't as bulky. They usually don't carry Protect, because Tailwind doesn't last as long as Trick Room, and you just want to get through your Pokemon. Just pick up some huge knockouts, take advantage of it. So it's been an interesting ride. It's been a good opportunity for me, though, to learn about Tailwind. That way I can better counter it in the future, or even make it another more successful Tailwind team. So right in this first battle, we actually have a mirror matchup with Lele Driftblim. My opponent leads, or I don't know, I'm not going to say what he leads. I was just going to say my opponent has a team of Lele, Driftblim, Arcanine, Garchomp, Porygon 2, and Magnezone. So a very similar team. Two differences are the Porygon 2 and the Arcanine, whereas I have Gyarados and Pheromosa. So very similar team. So here I don't see the need to lead with my Tapu Lele here, because I'm like, well, he's probably going to lead with Tapu Lele. So I decided I'm going to go with Pheromosa instead to threaten his Tapu Lele, and then if his Drifblim decides to go for a Will-O-Wisp into my Pheromosa, then I'll just get a free Tailwind up and he won't get his up. So it'd be a huge advantage for me. And then I want to bring Tapu Lele here, of course, just in case he doesn't, also to deal with his Garchomp, and also to get huge damage off onto his Porygon 2 and his Arcanine. And I prefer Garchomp here instead of Gyarados. I was actually considering bringing both, and I actually ran out of time. So I had Garchomp selected, but I ran out of time. I actually wanted to bring Gyarados for Intimidate, but I ended up bringing Garchomp. So sure enough, my opponent does lead Drifblim Lele, and I get Drifblim Pheromosa. So this is a huge advantage for me, because he's going to set up the terrain. And so what's going to be key here, so my Unburden goes first. So, my Psychic Seed procs first, which means I'm faster. Or it's going to be a speed tie. So this is good information to have, that his Drifblim is not faster than me. It's either same speed or slower. So, and here I go first again, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm most likely going to be faster than him. But he makes a good play and protects his Lele. And we both just set up Tailwind here, but at the same time, it's not too big of a deal for me, because my Pheromosa is going to be way faster than his Tapu Lele. So at the same time, he can't really leave in his Lele and Moonblast or anything. So he's going to be forced to switch out into Arcanine here. Good switch. It's going to bring in the Intimidate. Pheromosa's attack's going to get cut. But I'm still in a pretty good spot. And I just went for the Shadow Ball into his Drifblim, just to get that damage. I get the special defense drop. It doesn't matter, because another Shadow Ball will pick up the knockout anyways. And unlucky for my opponent, he misses the Will-O-Wisp there. So it would have been bad that my Pheromosa was burned, but it's not necessarily game changing. We'll have to see how this one plays out to see if that miss actually even does anything. So I bring in Garchomp. This is why I wanted to bring Gyarados. Bringing Gyarados here would have been huge to get the Intimidate off onto his Arcanine. So I pick up a knockout onto his Drifblim. If it was a speed tie, it was just really unfortunate that I got the what's it called? That I won the speed tie every single time. So he's actually going to Wild Charge into my Drifblim. He gets a crit to pick up the knockout, which is fine. Drifblim's not really getting much done here at the moment. It's a free Swords Dance for me. So at this point, I don't even need to Tectonic Rage the Arcanine to knock it out, since I'm at +2 and he just took a bunch of recoil. So I bring in my Pheromosa, and he brings back in Tapu Lele, as I expected. So the only problem here is I don't want to Earthquake my own Pheromosa in case he protects. And he didn't protect this time, so Poison Jab isn't going to be able to pick up the knockout. And what's interesting is I didn't think his Arcanine would be faster than my Garchomp. So he goes for the Flare Blitz in that slot. So it's going to bring down my Focus Sash. He's still not going to knock himself out, but he's going to eat up his berry. But his HP is irrelevant right now for Garchomp. Garchomp can easily pick up the knockout. So I went for Dragon Claw into Arcanine. I was expecting the Poison Jab to pick up the knockout, and I didn't want to waste my Tectonic Rage there. So best play would have been, well, I mean, knowing what happened, best play would have been Poison Jab, Earthquake. So I was actually really surprised that this Moonblast took up my Garchomp. It must I have like a 62% chance of living that. So I was kind of surprised. I was a little disappointed because I was at +2, plus I had my Z move, and I was expecting him to have Garchomp in the back, and I was like, so that's why I went for. I was thinking about going for the Tectonic Rage in the Arcanine, but I was like, if he switches in his Garchomp, I have some nice options and everything. So I'm in a good spot here. So with Garchomp, he actually goes for Rock Slide. So I wonder if he might not even have Earthquake because he protected there, so Earthquake would not have hurt him at all. Or maybe he was just fishing for a flinch. I just went for the Moonblast. I didn't really, or with Lele, I just need to knock out the Garchomp and I win. So Dazzling Gleam, I don't know how bulky this Garchomp could be. It could have been Assault Vest. So my Specs Moonblast, I was confident that I would be able to pick up the knockout, and I'm confident that I can survive this as well. No terrain, no Roost, no anything. He's not Specs. So he's going to get the special attack drop, but I don't really, or I mean, I could probably extreme speed him with Tapu Lele at this point, and he would fall. So it's going to be a close game one. Some unfortunate things. I was surprised at how fast that Arcanine was, considering it was a Tailwind team. I was expected to be or have less speed investment, but I mean, it wouldn't have done all that much anyways. And I'm actually surprised that the Arcanine was able to survive the. Or no, yeah. So it didn't survive the Dragon Claw. I was just surprised that my Garchomp didn't move before it, because then that would have changed things up and it would have really sealed up the victory. But I'm pretty happy with the way I played that. I'm really happy with my lead as well. I don't like, maybe if I led Magnezone turn 1, that might have been better than my Pheromosa. I just wanted Pheromosa in case he brought Porygon or Magnezone. High Jump Kick would put in work. But if against that lead, I guess Drifblim Magnezone would have been good, because then I would have had the option of Flash Cannon or Gigavolt Havoc the Drifblim, and that would have put on huge pressure. But he did have the Arcanine and the Garchomp, so there were just a lot of things going on there. But I feel like I brought good Pokemon, I played it well, and we were able to pick up the victory. So that was our game 1. We're going to go ahead and move on to game 2. Very tricky team by my opponent. He had Celesteela, Tapu Koko, Politoed, Golduck, Pheromosa, and Alolan Muck. So also a very scary team. Personally, I feel like I struggle just in general against rain teams. This team especially, just because even like Golduck gets its own Tailwind set up for free, and then it also have a Z Crystal. So even though I get my Tailwind set up, it's not going to matter, because it's not like I can stop my opponent from getting his quote-unquote Tailwind set up, and that Golduck just threatens so much damage. So I feel like I really struggle against rain teams in general. I need to, maybe my next team, I need to make a rain team so I can figure out how they play and how they get outplayed. So he's going to lead Celesteela, Tapu Koko, predicting my Lele Drifblim lead, which is pretty good on his part. He's got Thunderbolt for Drifblim and Heavy Slam for Tapu Lele. So luckily my Tapu Lele is going to be EV'd to be a little bit slower than Tapu Koko and even most Tapu Finis, so I can get my terrain up. But I'm not going to leave Tapu Lele in here, even though I would probably be able to pick up a free knockout onto Tapu Koko. I don't want to trade my Lele for a knockout on Tapu Koko. So I just go straight up for the Tailwind here, and I bring in Magnezone because it'll resist both or all stabs from my opponent's Pokemon. So he actually goes for Volts, which I was really surprised at how much damage that did. I thought it might have been Specs at first, but no, it just really hurt me bad. So if it weren't for the Psychic Seed, I would have been gone. And he's going to bring in Politoed. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Definitely got the Golduck in the back, which also makes sense. I mean, that's like the main offense of his team. And sure enough, we do see a Heavy Slam from the Celesteela into Magnezone, so going to do nothing since quad resisted, and I am very heavy. So my opponent's just going to double protect here, which is what you'd expect. There's not much he can do to me. So with the Pokemon he has, I mean, he'd go for like a Scald with the Politoed, but Celesteela's not getting much done. So I went for the Will-O-Wisp into the Celesteela. Residual damage, also to reduce the damage of that Heavy Slam. So Tapu Lele might be able to take one. And so he just burned a Tailwind, which is good on his part. I'm going to switch things up. So I went for a Shadow Ball here in a Politoed, and I went for the Gigavolt Havoc into Celesteela. Just because I wanted to get rid of it. I didn't know what it was going to hold. It could be Flamethrower, and yes, the rain is up, but still, it could also be Sub-Leech Seed. So I didn't want to have to deal with this, especially since Magnezone was going to be my best option for it. And Thunderbolt wouldn't do the trick outside of Electric Terrain. So I decided pretty much there I had a free knockout on one of his Pokemon. So I decided it was going to be Celesteela, since Politoed, not too big of an offensive threat. So, and sure enough, we do see the Scald. So it's going to do quite a bit of damage. It was like 75%. And sure enough, we do see the Golduck here. So unfortunately, my Drifblim has Rain Dance and not Sunny Day or Hail to get rid of that. But he's going to protect his Politoed here. And I went for the Shadow Ball there just to get some damage off. And we see Surf, and I was like, wow, that's an interesting tech move to have on. Usually they'll carry Hydro Pump or Scald, but this is going to be some nice spread damage for him. It's going to be a nice double knockout right there. So, an interesting tech move from my opponent. It's also powerful too, so it's going to be a little bit more powerful than Scald. It's going to be spread, and since it's a little bit more powerful than Scald, the Z move will be a little bit stronger, since it'll be, I believe, base 90 instead of base 80. So I have Gyarados here. Against these two Pokemon, I'm in a pretty good shape, since my Waterfalls will be boosted, and if they just have Water type moves, they're not going to be able to hit me with too much. So sure enough, so here I was like, I wonder why. I guess I wonder why. I mean, there's no reason not to use it, especially since he's not protecting this turn. So I was thinking he'd Hydro Vortex into the Gyarados, since it was kind of, I felt like even if he surfed his own Politoed there, I don't think it would have done that much to Politoed, and I still think it would have picked up the knockout on Tapu Lele. I don't think the Hydro Vortex was necessary, so I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to Hydro Vortex into the Gyarados slot. But I Dragon Dance here. This is my only way of winning, since and we see Perish Song here. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So that's pretty much going to seal up the deal, since he can just switch out and protect and everything. So but what if my opponent makes some mistakes and I get some lucky crits? Then not much is going to happen here. But here I'm thinking he's probably going to double protect, or he's going to withdraw or whatever. So he's going to bring in Tapu Koko and set up the train again. But I kind of predicted that he'd kind of play around. He'd switch out and stuff and protect. Since he set up the Parasite, that's all he's got to do at this point. So I went for another Dragon Dance, because I pretty much got to, like I said, I got to like one-shot his Pokemon from now on. So I am at +2 speed, so I'm definitely going to be the fastest thing on the field. I might even outspeed his Golduck in the rain, since I am going to be at +2. So he's going to withdraw Golduck here, which makes sense. He's going to go out into his Politoed. So, and that's going to bring back up the rain. So my Waterfalls are going to be a little bit stronger. Just a little bit, though. So I went for Earthquake here to pick up the knockout on Tapu Koko and also get some damage off onto his Golduck if he kept it in. So that's going to do a lot of damage to Politoed. But I was here, once I saw that amount of health, I was like, I wonder if it's going to be holding the berry. Sure enough, there it is right there. So another Earthquake won't even do the trick, since that did less than 50%. So I got one turn left anyways. So what if he doesn't protect like a double crit? It's not going to matter. So, and he's just going to end up double protecting here, which is fine. The cheese is kind of, well, it's not necessarily cheese. I mean, you got to expect it, but I went for the Waterfall into his Politoed just to, because I wanted to see if it would pick up the knockout, since Earthquake did quite a bit, and it wasn't stab, and it was spread. Waterfall would have been stronger, since it would have been stab and rain boosted, even though it would have been resisted, so it would have been a little bit stronger. And it wouldn't have been spread, so I wanted to see if that would pick up the knockout. So I think, analyzing that, once he set up the Perish Song. I wasn't predicting a switch. I was predicting a double protect. But if I predicted the switch out in the Tapu Koko, at that turn I set up a second Dragon Dance. But I didn't set up the second Dragon Dance, and I went for the Earthquake, and he brought in his Politoed. That might have given me room to win. Might have is the key there. Because what would have happened is, so he would have switched out. He switched out his Golduck. No, excuse me. He switched out his Politoed into Tapu Koko. If I would have Earthquaked, and I don't know the calcs or anything, but I'm just saying, if I picked up the knockout on Tapu Koko, then his Politoed would have come back in, and I would have had 2 turns left. And he would have had his Golduck and his Politoed, and the rain would have been up, and his Golduck would have just protected. So I could have gone for a Waterfall into his Golduck and hoped for a knockout, since I would have been at +1, and then it would have been Stab, Waterfall, Rain boosted, and then I could have picked the knockout on Golduck, and then his Politoed probably would have protected that turn, and it would have been 1 turn left, and then I could have gone for another Waterfall and picked the knockout on Politoed, and that's like the only way I could have won. But like I said, I was predicting the double protect, not the switch, so it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. I guess that's something you should expect from Politoed. I just feel like I didn't play very well to begin with, so can't really complain, I guess. But yeah, I mean, my opponent played pretty well. This guy had a really high rating. I just feel like I struggle against rain teams in general. So, I mean, I tried to bring Magnezone here because it has Sturdy, so I was like, oh, even if he goes for the Hydro Vortex and the Magnezone, I'll still be able to, like, I'll survive with 1 because of Sturdy, and then I'll be able to pick up the knockout onto his Golduck or whatever. But it didn't happen. I'd already lost some health. So I'll have to, if you guys have any suggestions for beating rain teams, let me know, because I'm definitely looking for those, because I feel like every time I play up against a rain team, I lose. Just because maybe I don't know how they work, maybe I don't know how to counter, maybe there's no counter on my team. So if you guys can help me out with that, that'd be great. But that's pretty much going to be it. If you got any other suggestions for me, let me know. If you want to battle me, go ahead and let me know. I'm going to be using this team for a little bit longer. The April International Challenge starts on Friday, so it'll have already started by the time this upload gets up. So I'll probably be using this team during that challenge. I might make actually, I can't make any changes during the challenge. I might make a change before. But should be a fun one. I'll have some uploads for that. Maybe a lot of uploads. Depends on how it goes, how many battles I can get in. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.